I had 5 sons and thought that chapter was closed. I just spent 13 grand on a tummy tuck to repair my stomach. 3 months into my recovery, my jaw dropped. I was 44 years old and there was two little pink lines. I couldn't believe it. I was in the middle of a training on Zoom and I got this chat bot that said, "Your results are in." It's a girl. After
A
5
girl.
boys,
Yeah.
I can't even describe that feeling. The best things in life are the surprises and those plot twists.
Anne Marie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
Today, we are sharing Anne Marie's story at 44. Because you have 5 other boys, will you tell us how your story came to motherhood?
Absolutely. I was a young mother. I got married at 22 years old and had my first baby at 23. That probably was the hardest one of my children to get pregnant. I thought that I would just go off birth control and get pregnant right away, and that didn't happen. About maybe 6 to 8 months later, I found out I was pregnant with him. I had another one at 25, and then I think I was 28 with my next son, and then 30 with my next. And then I had my last little boy at 34 years old. And he was quite a surprise baby. My pregnancy at 34, I was right on that, teetering that line of geriatric pregnancy, as they called it back then, sometimes still do. In that pregnancy, there was some significant issues in my marriage with their father that had been ongoing for some time. But that was it. And then I definitely thought I was done. I had 5 beautiful little boys in the span of about 10 years
Uh-huh.
and got pregnant easily about 10 years ago. I had started setting the wheels in motion to get strong enough to leave that marriage for me and my boys. I basically had my little 1 year old, breastfeeding 1 year old, and my little pack of boys, and we moved on. And I started my journey as a single mom to my wonderful 5 sons and thought that chapter was closed in my life. It was time to be a
Yeah.
working mom and badass it up, and just little did I
Yeah.
know there would be a second chapter down the line.
Tell us about that. You found love again.
I did find love again. I'd had several relationships, but I met my current partner, Bruce, 3 years ago. Like, he had an 18-year-old son. I had my sons. We thought, we're just going to raise these kids, my boys, and travel and enjoy the rest of our lives, the rest of our chapter. We thought for just a brief moment, oh, it'd be fun to have a baby together. I don't know. He only had one child and had always wanted another, but I just said, yeah, I don't know. That being said, we weren't being careful. So 4 months into our dating relationship, where we had barely started to define that, yeah, I think we're just going to see each other. We're going to delete the dating apps and just go solo here. We found out I was pregnant. So I was shocked and almost a little embarrassed to tell him. I'm like, this is like my brand new boyfriend. Oh, hi, I'm pregnant. I was 43. He was shocked. And so I was like, okay, I know we've just been dating for a handful of months, but I'm pregnant. I immediately went to maternal fetal medicine and high risk because of my age at the time. Each of the scans were looking like the pregnancy was not viable. So we had to go through a series of ultrasounds and tests and things like that, and where they would find the sac but not the heartbeat and things like that. And so I was like, oh boy, this isn't going to happen. I also had a miscarriage a few years prior at 41 years old. I was almost in my second trimester. So that was pretty
Oh,
devastating. I had to do a D&C and had that miscarriage, and that was really hard. So I
tough.
was pretty sure, after having 2 miscarriages now in my 40s, after I'd had, plenty of successful, healthy, full-term pregnancies before in my 20s and 30s. But I took that as the sign of this chapter of my life is closed. I thought, well, my body's not going to do this at 40. In a little bit of that miscarriage grief, I decided to book a surgery to get my tummy redone. It was pretty stretched out after having 5 kids. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing the full mommy makeover. I just got to get rid of this fupa. Like, things are just, I just was feeling mismatched in the tummy area. So I booked a consultation and ended up having surgery like the next month after a miscarriage. I just full force go into the next thing to try and distract things from hard
Right.
things and feeling things. I got a tummy tuck. I did feel very insecure about my stomach after having all those babies with my third pregnancy. My appendix ruptured when I was 7 months pregnant. We had to have surgery to remove the appendix and a gallbladder. So I had a lot of scars all over my stomach. And then a hernia developed because I had another trimester to grow and I had to hernia surgery after that baby. So my stomach just looked like I'd been through war. I was not looking to look like a Barbie, but I just wanted to feel better and healthier and not always have this significant stomach roll in my clothes. I got the fupa's taken care of. I'll keep working on myself, raise these boys, and have a beautiful life with my partner, Bruce. 3 months into my tummy tuck recovery, where I was still having significant scars and things like that and follow ups, I realized that my period was a little late. And so that morning I took a pregnancy test and I couldn't believe it. Like my jaw dropped. And I was like, Bruce, holy shit. You have to come look at this. So we were both just shocked. And there it was, the two little pink lines. And I was like, wow. I was a little stressed out considering that I had just spent like 13 grand on the surgery to repair all the
Yeah.
births from my stomach. There was that feeling of this probably won't be a viable pregnancy. So we're
Yeah.
not going to tell the kids. We're just going to go to the doctor, see how far we can get before I stress out too much.
Can you tell us, like, what were you doing before that, like diet wise or exercising? Was there anything that maybe
Yeah.
help you with your fertility?
For sure. I didn't feel like I was trying to get pregnant. After I had that miscarriage, I did get an IUD put in, and I actually had some significant problems with it. I was having a lot of pain and found out that I had a uterine infection, so I had it removed. I was on a path of eating better and exercising, starting to feel better about my body than I had in a long time. And I had started a GLP-1. So I started a compounded semaglutide. I had only been on it for maybe 3 months, and I think I lost 10 pounds, but I needed to lose a little bit more weight before that surgery to have the most effective results from the tummy procedure.
Uh-huh.
I was on a GLP-1 for maybe 3 months. I don't know if it was that, but there's been a
Yeah.
lot of discussions if those affect fertility.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were wanting to boost your confidence and everything, so I'm sure everything was compounded with that.
Exactly. Yeah. I was on a health and wellness journey at the time. I was just eating better. I was exercising. I was lifting weights. I was walking every day. I had lost a good amount of weight. The GLP-1 was a good little kicker to that. And then, boom, found out I was pregnant. And that journey just switched out of fitness to, am I going to be able to hold on to this little baby again this time? I was really worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that. What was it like going to the doctor? And then I guess did you get a nip test for
Yeah.
genetics and that sort of thing?
Yes. The first few scans were riddled with anxiety, as many moms know, especially after loss, because, what's going to happen. But those first few scans showed a heartbeat and showed growth and showed that little jelly bean. And it was like, oh my gosh, I think this is incredible. But I still was not going to believe anything until I was well out of the first trimester. So
Mhm.
I did want to consent to do the nip testing. I did everything. And we also tested a lot of other genetic sort of combinations that could happen with me and Bruce because we are a beautiful interracial love. I have a gorgeous Black African American partner, a fiance, and there are also some things genetically that can be a little bit more prominent, like sickle cell and things like that. And so we went for the whole boatload of testing. One of my sons also has a very rare genetic disease that he was born with that he's been doing very well throughout his life with, but that can cause some significant problems. So I was just like, yeah, let's do every single test, not
Uh-huh.
knowing like what if those tests would for forecast anything that I would do with the pregnancy or keeping the baby, but I did want to know. I'm an anxiety ridden person in general. So we did
Sure.
the nip testing and saw a genetic counselor and waited with bated breath on how everything was going. We were able to open those results. That was a cool experience because it had been a 10-year gap since I had a baby. And it was like, oh, somebody doesn't just call and tell you your results. I got this little chat bot that said, your results are in on my email. Did you get that
Yeah.
too?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's, oh, hi, how are you? Thank you. Welcome to 2020 and beyond. And they're like, you're just chatting your way through it with a little chat bot, and your genetic testing came out perfectly perfect. There was low risks for any sort of genetic problems or chromosomal abnormalities or Down syndrome. Mine and Bruce's genes were looking great together. And then I got the fated, wonderful little, would you like to know the gender? Dot, dot, dot.
Ooh, what'd you do? Of course.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I was literally in the middle of a training for my job, and we were all on Zoom, a huge regional training. And I'm on camera and I'm just trying to act professional in my meeting, but I'm like, holy shit, I'm fighting this out right now. And everything in me knew, Jamie, wait till Bruce gets home. This is a special moment. Open this together. Blah. Blah. No, I wasn't going to do it.
Can't wait.
I've had 5 boys. I have to find out.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, yes, and goes over. It's a girl. And I can't even describe that feeling of just, holy shit. I was so excited. It was
After 5
amazing.
boys,
After
a
five
girl.
boys,
Yeah.
like I loved my boys. It was so fun raising all those boys, but I'm a girly girl at heart.
Uh-huh.
I'm the youngest of 9. I have 6 big brothers. I always just wanted to have a girl, like just have that experience. And
Yeah.
so it was pretty incredible to find that out. And then, yeah, literally as soon as we broke in our training, I called Bruce and screamed. He's okay, good. Was the baby healthy? I'm like, yeah, she's healthy, but it's a girl.
Yeah, let's
So
focus
I
on the
could not
important
believe
thing.
it. Yes. And I still couldn't believe it until I had every single ultrasound I had. At that point, I was only what, like 10 weeks when they do the nip testing?
Yeah, it's so early.
So it's so early. I still had multiple scans to come the rest of that pregnancy. And every time I had them like look between the legs, I'm like, are you sure a penis didn't grow? Double check. It's still a girl. I still didn't believe it till she was born. But yeah, it was pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Tell us about how was your pregnancy?
Pregnancy was actually really good. I had heard some war stories about how hard this was going to be, being 44 years old, but it actually went really well. My first trimester, I was sick, as many of us moms are, but man, I would say around 12, 13 weeks, as soon as I passed that first trimester, I was like, oh, hey, I was just rocking and rolling again, feeling great. The second trimester was incredible. I got my energy back, and I was working full time the whole time, raising all my other children, and continued to work all the way up until the end. So the pregnancy was going great. I should actually go back a little further though. Very early on in the first trimester, probably earlier than they would normally do. You know how they do lots of blood work? They did notice my glucose was high immediately. So that was, I would say, maybe 6, 7 weeks or so. My OB-GYN said, yeah, your glucose is high. And just because of that, you're going to still do the glucose test and stuff mid pregnancy like you do. But we're just going to assume that you're pre-diabetes right now. We're going to treat this as if you have gestational diabetes. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh.
bummer.
So I didn't get to wait till 24 weeks to drink the orange drink. I had to start poking my finger and doing
Ugh,
the GD diet early on. So that was hard because there's so much you
yeah,
give up in pregnancy. It's like I have to give up my ice cream sundaes, and oh,
yeah,
it was hard. Yeah. So I
yeah.
did meet with a nutrition counselor throughout the pregnancy and things like that. But
So you were able to control it with diet.
yes.
Oh,
Yep. I
good.
was able to control it with diet. I don't even think we added anything in until maybe like third trimester. They added in the metformin just to be safe. But
Okay.
it was very well controlled. But I did have to prick my finger 3 times a day. I had to track all those results and tell them to my GD, my gestational diabetes counselor, and things like that. So I did have to track it throughout the time. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But
Yeah,
other than that, it went really well.
yeah. You said you went to an OB. Tell us, did you go to your regular one that you go through just yearly?
Yes, I went to the same one. I beelined right back to my bestie. She delivered all of my children. So there was
Oh,
no one
how
else I would
fun.
have do it. Yeah, they gave me some options for some high risk maternal fetal medicine doctors. I'm like, she's just as qualified. And she knew exactly what to do with me. And she also knew my history of having postpartum and even prenatal depression in the past with my pregnancies. So that had dated back quite a long time. So I felt the most comfortable going to my OB-GYN that I've seen for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So we had lots of
So
giggles and everything about having this late in life baby, but she took incredible care of me.
that's great. Now, are you saying you turned down the high risk doctor going to see one?
Mhm.
Good for
I did see high
you.
risk. Yeah, I mean, I still saw a high risk doctor for the ultrasounds, and I think there's those specialists with the ultrasounds that read the, what are they called? Perinatologists that read the
Uh-huh.
ultrasounds and things like that. So I was doing a lot more testing, but she was sending those orders over. So she
Okay.
was very qualified to do everything and surgeries and everything. And so I felt very comfortable in her care, but we did refer to a perinatologist throughout the pregnancy. So if there were any sort of things on the ultrasound that weren't looking right or developing right, he was advising throughout. But all my regular care was with her.
Great. Now, what about moving your body? Did you do any exercise while you were pregnant?
I was working full time, so I counted that as exercise. I'm in
Yeah.
sales, I'm out in the field all day, every day. And so I counted those steps. And then I would do a little bit of weightlifting at night in my room, things like that. So, not any really
Mm.
big gym. It wasn't a time in my life where I could hit the gym and stuff. I had a lot going on, taking care of my family and children and stuff. But I did try to move my body and things like that. And they also wanted me to do that, especially since I did have the gestational diabetes.
Yeah. You're doing a lot of walking in your job, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do a lot of walking my job, and we lived right next to a river trail, so I took lots of
Oh, nice.
dog walks with our dogs out on the trail and things like that. But gentle movement for sure, and then
Uh,
doing some weightlifting. But also there was some risks because I did have this very major stomach surgery, and I have a 12, 14-inch scar on my stomach. We weren't sure how those sutures were going to hold as I grew and grew. So they didn't want me to do anything extraneous with exercise or lifting just in case. But yeah, I put quite some pressure on those what do you call them? Incisions.
yeah, because you were healing and growing a baby at the same
Oh,
time.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. What did the doctor say, like, that did that surgery? Were they concerned about you being pregnant?
They just said, "What do you think might happen? Is this just crazy to move forward with this pregnancy with all these fresh stitches and everything?" And he said, "We'll see." And I got big. I got big. So yeah, I definitely, it was probably got bigger than in any of my pregnancies. And I think a lot of that was the gestational diabetes. Even though I was controlling with diet, man, the weight was packing on. I think I gained 60 pounds in that pregnancy. So it was tough.
Yeah,
But
I feel the same way about that too.
do you?
Yes, yeah, I had gestational diabetes too, and I gained a lot.
Right? Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like there has to be a factor there about the insulin resistance or whatnot. Because even though I wasn't hitting all the candy and stuff, it just was.
yeah,
It was a fast moving train. I was getting real tired even tracking the weight at that point. I'm like, this is depressing. Okay,
yeah,
that's enough weighing in.
yeah. They're like, please step on the scale. And you're like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was rough.
definitely. Yeah. So, was there any product or anything that you could recommend that helped during pregnancy?
Man, for me, I get that hip pain. I don't know about you, but I always know I'm pregnant because, like, right away, the sides of my hips just start killing me, and I'm already a side sleeper. That pain was just incredible. So, I was doing a lot of like just rollers and things like that on my hips and the pregnancy pillows, and using just like cooling gels and things like that on my legs and hips. That's like the pain in my legs and hips is probably like the worst when I'm pregnant. I would say I was just going for everything. And I was using a lot of like belly balms and stuff. And I forgot what it was called. It was some belly butter that I would spread all over, just hoping that. But at that point, it's gosh, I've got this Frankenstein scar. I've got all my old surgery scars, and my belly's growing like whatever. This is going to have to get redone someday anyway. Let's just let it be.
Yeah. Show them off.
I
Well,
can't think of anything specific I did besides just really constantly adjusting my pillow situation and trying different pregnancy pillows and things just to get more comfortable because the aches of trying to get comfortable the whole second, third trimester were really difficult for me.
yeah. Now, what about preparing for her? Because you didn't have any baby stuff. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was fun. I had everything for the boys because they were all just about 2 years apart. So we used the same crib, the same bouncer, the same bassinet, the same little jumpy thing for every little stage. A couple years after my divorce, I definitely got rid of everything. I think I gave everything to one of my nieces who's going to be a new mom. And I'm like, I'm done having kids. So it was starting all over. But that was also really fun because things changed a lot in 10 years. things got a
Yeah.
lot cooler. So yeah, like the swings, I'm like, wow, look at this. It goes back and forth and side to side and round and cradle, cradle, rock. So I did want like kind of some fancy stuff. And so I did get money for a little bit nicer strollers than I needed. I got the Halo bassinet and things like that. Looking back, it was dumb money because she slept in my bed from day one and she still sleeps in my bed, Jamie. So I'm a big proponent of y'all, less is more. Like they
Yeah.
need bodysuits, diapers, and mommy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think
yeah, that's how we prepared. But yeah, we definitely prepared. I got lots of things. We set up a beautiful nursery, pink crib, pink everything. I just went crazy with it. I'm like, she's a girl. It's a girl. We're doing a thing here and a sparkle here and a feather here. Homegirl still doesn't use that room. The cat sleeps in her crib and we go in there to change diapers on the changing table. But
that's
yeah,
funny. I think that goes with age. Like at our age, we are a little more financially
yes.
independent. So we do think, oh, more is better. And sometimes it's not.
Yeah, like I didn't go top of the line stroller, but I definitely was like, okay, yeah, and I do. You are more financially stable. And it was fun to just shop and get everything ready. But there's a lot of stuff I didn't need, didn't use, but I still bought it for every phase, every
Yeah.
little new phase. And then there were some products that repeated, things that I knew, like I knew that I wanted one of those foldable strollers that you pop open and put the car
Yes.
seat, the newborn car seat in. Those little, they're great. Like definitely get
Uh-huh.
one of those. Those are so useful. But as soon as they start sitting up, they don't want to lay back in that seat and that you're already onto a different kind of stroller. So
Yeah.
don't waste all your money on the biggest and best because you're going to find that they're going to be right onto the next thing so fast you can't even keep up.
Yes. Definitely.
And I got way too many clothes. I went crazy on the clothes. My goodness. There, we still have 0 to 3, 3 to 6 months all lined up in her closet, and I'm just waiting for baby showers to start giving this stuff away because I wanted all these dresses, and really they just need those little sleepy nightgowns. So, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
preparation. Probably didn't need it, but it was still fun to do.
Yeah. It's like you got to wear those nice, fun clothes no matter what. And you
Yeah,
save
right?
those for special occasions. And it's no, wear those anyway.
Yes, 100%. So we
Yeah.
had some special occasions here and there, but she didn't need as much as we had. But it
Yeah.
was really fun preparing. It was fun doing the nursery and getting excited and everything.
Yeah.
But really, I'm like, what are the staples I use the most? The changing table. Get yourself a changing table. It's great.
Definitely. What was something that you definitely didn't need that you
The
bought?
swing, the swing.
Okay.
Yeah, the swing didn't do much for
Yeah. Yeah.
like I did the carriers. So I
Oh,
had
yeah,
the
that's a
Moby
good one.
wrap and the baby Bjorn. I bought brand new ones of those. Actually, I had a really nice baby shower. My girlfriends totally spoiled me with really nice stuff. So a lot of it I didn't buy. But honestly, I just, my neck and back, it doesn't matter what carrier, it ends up being, it's just easier for me to hold the baby than to put him in the carriers. So it
Yeah.
barely got any use. The pack
Yeah.
and play has not got one ounce of use.
Oh,
We've
wow.
traveled a lot with our baby too, but again, she sleeps right next to me,
Sleeps
so
with
we
you.
co-sleep. So the
Yeah.
pack
That's
and
what I
play
was going to
was a
ask.
$250 purchase that was not needed
Never
at
used.
all. Hasn't not even hasn't been opened.
Wow. That's funny. Now, what about classes? I'm sure you did not need any classes.
No, I didn't do
Yeah.
classes this time. No, I didn't. I asked Bruce because he hadn't had a child for so long, and do you want to do some pre-birth classes so you know what to expect? He's, you're a pro, I'll be good. You just tell me what to do. I'm like, you have to understand when I'm in labor, I'm not going to always exactly want to start directing you to do XYZ. But in the end, we didn't do it. We were so
Yeah.
busy just raising kids and we're both working full time. It was like, I know what to do, but but I did tell him a lot, just to so you know, this is my birth plan. This is how I want you to support me, things like that.
Yeah. Tell us about your birth plan.
I'll tell you this. So I had the intention with my other children to go natural. I always wanted to try a natural, unmedicated birth, but always got to a point of no return and the pain where I was like, give me the epidural. I was actually able to, with my fourth child, to have an unmedicated birth, and it was incredible. It was honestly incredible. I absolutely loved that experience. It was so hard, so much pain, but man, the endorphins and that happened after that were something like better than any of my other births. But I'll tell you, the next bit boy, that my last boy, that number 5 came, and I was like, they're like, okay, do you want to do that again? I'm like, no, I'm good. Do that, girl. Send me right away with Zara. I'm like, I'm just hoping she's going to come really fast. She's my sixth baby, right? So I'm like, she's probably going to come really fast and maybe I'll make it natural. But if not, if I'm saying, get me the epidural, Bruce, you get that nurse and get me that epidural. I know what I
Uh-huh.
want when I want it. So
Right.
my plan was to have a natural birth. I was able to have her vaginally, like all my other children, but she was one of my longest labors. So, yeah, the
Wow.
doctor warned me that because, yes, you've had multiple pregnancies, but it's also been 10 years. This pregnancy, this birth could go lightning fast, or it could be just as long as your first. It could mimic your first. And my first was my hardest and longest and most difficult labors. So she was somewhere about in the middle. She was about second to my hardest labor and delivery, but still
Wow.
incredible. Yeah.
Now, what about pregnancies? How does she fall under the easiest category?
I would honestly say, aside from the gestational diabetes part of it and that just being an annoying thing, I was tired, but I was tired in all my pregnancies. She was great. One of my best pregnancies. It really was. I think there was also something about it because my other boys were so close together that I always had a toddler while I was sick and pregnant to take care of. This time I had children that were all free roaming and taking care of themselves and they can make themselves snacks. And I could really just rest and say, Mom's going to go take a nap. Okay, Mom, cool. We got it. We'll throw a
Yeah,
pizza in the oven. So that was a really cool factor. So yeah, it was honestly one of my best pregnancies.
that's great. Did your OB want to induce you? Was that
Yes.
discussed? Okay.
She did tell me early on, she said, let's just plan on that being the cutoff 39 because there are some risks after 39 weeks for mothers over 40. It's slight, but I don't want to take any chances with you. So
Mhm.
there can be a small risk of stillbirth or complications. So I was like, fine, I'm not fighting that. Why? Nope. I waited a long time for this baby girl. So she said 39 weeks induction. It was fine.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be just fine. So we got induced at 39 weeks.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention about your pregnancy before we get into talking about your birth?
So Bruce
Oh,
proposed to
yeah.
me 1 week before her birth. So literally at 39 weeks, he picked the perfect time and perfect place and perfect spot. And I was ginormously pregnant to propose to me. So we've been engaged since before she was born, but have been so busy raising her that we still have not gotten to wedding planning, which we will for next year. Gosh, I'm trying to think back. It was honestly, it was all great. All the scans were great. It was just fun. And the end, I did get very big. So I would say it was just really uncomfortable the last couple months. It was like, wow, I could feel it. And I think because of my stomach surgery that I had a few months before pregnancy, that part was starting to like the incisions were hurting.
I guess 39 weeks you went in for an induction.
I went in for induction at 39 weeks. And yeah, it was just a big unknown. Is this going to go just super fast or what? But I'd had a couple of cervical checks before that,
Uh-huh.
and I was only hardly dilated. So I was like, okay, we had a ways to go, and it took a long time. Like I checked in around 11 a.m. at the hospital, and they started within a few hours. They started the Foley balloon catheter, where they
Oh, how was that?
yeah, that's rough. They put that catheter up there and blow up a balloon in your cervix to start getting things going. It's uncomfortable because it immediately really starts some contractions. And
Yeah.
of course, I was hooked up to the Pitocin as well, getting that going. Once they took out that Foley balloon, though, immediately I had a lot of the bloody show and things like that. And just because of my experience with birth, I'm like, okay, things are rocking and rolling now. No, they weren't. There was a good another 12 hours to go.
Oh,
So
no.
things were going like it was every little thing that would happen. I'm like, Bruce, it's getting close now. I know. I've done this before. No, Miss Diva was going to take her time and get here when she wanted to. We did the Foley catheter. We were on Pitocin. We increased the Pitocin. But this whole time, so I went about 8 hours just laboring unmedicated. I was really
Uh-huh.
trying to do this. I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. But it was getting really frustrating because I think the last cervical check they did after 8 hours of consistent contractions every 2 to 3 minutes, some pretty intense ones, they said you're about a 4. And I was like, oh, all right. I'm exhausted, like tapping out. Like I had been breathing through these contractions, bouncing on a ball, walking the halls. My water had broke and they broke it for me. but things were not happening fast at all. So I was exhausted just mentally and physically. And my partner was in the room, and actually, one of my older sons, he really wanted to be a part of the birth. He wanted to
Oh,
be there with me. It was a really cool experience to walk the halls with my son, my 6'4" son, who's 19 years old. So
oh,
he
how
wanted to be
sweet.
there. So yeah, he'd kind of look away during the cervical checks and give me privacy, but then he wanted to be there for everything. But even he was tired afterwards. I'm hungry. You think I should go get a I'm gonna go get some fast food. And I'm like, yeah, it's a long process. I'm only a 4. I have to get to a 10. I asked for the epidural, and as soon as I got the epidural, I was just like, oh, I was like, I can breathe, I can relax, and I fell right asleep. And I finally took a nice long nap. And this had happened in my previous births as well. Once I got that epidural and I could actually really relax, my body started going right away where it needed to be. So I took a couple-hour nap, and I remember Bruce and my son were watching an NBA Finals game on the TV, and I just woke up and said, yeah, I'm feeling a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. Like I feel like I need a poop, and I know that's a sign that baby is low. So the nurse came and checked me, and she's, oh yeah, you're 9.5 with barely any room left. The baby's right there. I'll call the doctor. And it was time.
OB actually deliver?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, great.
She delivered. Yeah, it was a long, we were there for 13 hours, but she hung in there with me the whole time and came right in when it was time. So that was really fun to have her there.
Yeah, tell us, how did it go?
By the time she got in the room, she checked me and she says, oh, yeah, you're complete. Baby's right there. I can feel her little head. And I was just like starting to cry and all those emotions. And I did ask for a mirror. I think that's a really cool part of labor. I love to see the progress with the pushing and whatnot. And with my other boys, honestly, I had to push a lot more. And so for me, it was really good to see when you have an epidural, there's an element of you can't completely feel how hard sometimes, like you feel like you're pushing hard, and then you're looking in your nurses and your doctor's eyes, and they're like, you can tell that maybe you're not doing what you want them to do. And I like having that mirror, and I wanted to see her come out. So we had that there. But when it was time to go, it was honestly just a handful of pushes, and she was there. So that was incredible. She came out the fastest, the least amount of pushes.
Was she the smallest?
No, 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 in the
Oh,
middle.
okay.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened when she came out. The doctor, the OB pulled her out, and then what? Did she lay her on your chest?
Yep, yep. She just pulled her out. It was a couple quick little pushes, and we also weren't aware of her size. That was one thing with the gestational diabetes. In the previous scans, they were saying that she looked like she could be 9 pounds or more. And so that was another reason why they really wanted me to deliver at 39 weeks, so she didn't get too big. But she
Mhm.
was a little perfect 7.5 pounds. But they pulled her out, and literally she just, my OB just knows that I want her right on my chest. So just skin to skin immediately, and you just got
Mhm.
that beautiful little warm wet baby on your chest, and the cord still attached, and I just started sobbing. I could not believe that was my baby girl. So it was incredible, most incredible experience of my life. And it was for Bruce as well. He was holding my legs when I was pushing, and he just couldn't believe how incredible that was. When she came out, they laid her on my chest. She was very quiet. So I was a little nervous because my last baby was having struggled to breathe, and he was in the NICU for a few days. So I was like, she's not really crying. She didn't give us that big scream like a baby does. She let her lay on my chest for a minute, but then they did want to check and make sure she was okay, because she just came out like a quiet little birth. And they went and put her over on the table, and I said, Bruce, go be with her. And they were shaking her and wiping her down and doing the things to get that good solid cry. And finally she just gave a couple and she was fine. Her breathing was fine. She just came out just, I'm good, I'm here. It was just not, she was a
Wow.
really peaceful baby. So it was a cool little thing. But yeah, we had Bruce cut the cord. He was very nervous to do that, and then just delivered the placenta naturally very soon after that.
How was your recovery?
I felt incredible after I had her, sore, things like that. But mostly the biggest thing that we started watching, I actually didn't have any signs of preeclampsia throughout the whole pregnancy, had great blood pressures. But as soon as I delivered this baby, my blood pressure shot up. I ended up having post-eclampsia, I think is what they call it. I don't know, there might be a better term. So it's basically preeclampsia that you get after birth. So we had to monitor that for many weeks. I actually was back in the hospital in the emergency room several times over the next 3, 4 weeks to watch my blood pressures. Eventually, they just had to put me on blood pressure meds, which I'm still on. So maybe that was a factor of an older birth. We don't know. But yeah, something about that just after part. So yeah, I had really sky high blood pressure and really bad headaches after she was born. They were trying to determine if it was could possibly be a spinal headache, which you can get sometimes from the epidural placement if you get really bad headaches, or if this was a blood pressure situation. But the blood pressures were really high enough that I was back in labor and delivery just a couple of days after I got home with her twice, and then the emergency room another time. So we had to just really monitor it with my primary care provider, and then eventually had to try a couple different medications to get that evened out. I'm good now, but I'm also on meds. So I don't know how long I'll
Right.
be on those, but yeah.
How quickly did your blood pressure escalate from giving birth?
Pretty much right after they delivered her, the blood pressure readings were
That
really high.
quickly?
Yeah, but they also said you have a lot of adrenaline right now. We'll take it
Mm.
again. And then you know how they do your vitals constantly in the hospital. Every reading they were high. They kept me there for a few days and just said, I said, I want to go home. I've got other kids. And they said, we just need you to monitor this and we need you to take your blood pressures at home. And if you get a really severe headache or if these get worse or any significant swelling, you need to come back because my legs and ankles were really swollen up. So I was getting all the signs of what you would get in preeclampsia and pregnancy, but after the birth. We really had to watch that. It was scary and I had horrible headaches. That was maybe the worst thing. Just having a newborn at home, nursing her, all that, but just with the searing headaches and not knowing what I could take, what I couldn't take now that I'm breastfeeding. That was stressful. I had to extend my maternity leave a little bit longer until we could get the blood pressure stabilized. It took a few months after birth.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how soon did you feel healed into your postpartum?
Like, I felt, you mean like in the lady regions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
I would
because at
say
6
I felt
weeks,
good.
I did
Yeah.
not feel comfortable.
Yeah, I get it. No,
Yeah.
I felt good actually down there. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say within 4 to 6 weeks. And I think that comes from the fact that I didn't tear. I didn't have
Yeah.
the episiotomy. The pushing was so easy. So I really felt great. I don't even think we made it the 6 week mark for sex. Yeah,
Good for
I know.
you.
Yeah. But I'm sure on my first, that would not have been the story. I was much more
Yeah.
traumatized down there.
Yeah,
But
this
yeah,
is your
felt really
6th
good.
birth. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably makes
Sure.
a
Things
difference.
things were probably primed and prepped a lot differently. Yeah.
How was breastfeeding for you?
Breastfeeding was incredible. Again, I think this just comes with experience. My first was, it was so hard. I had mastitis several times. My
Ugh.
nipples would crack and bleed. It was a long, hard journey to breastfeed with my first, but man, with my sixth, it was just great. She latched on beautifully, and my milk came in a couple days after the hospital, all that. Everything went great. Really had a great breastfeeding experience. The only thing I would notice that I did not have with my other children, and I also wondered if it was age, my milk supply was a little lower than with my previous children. That stressed me out a bit. There were times that I felt like she was gaining weight and whatnot, but there were times that I could literally hear that she wasn't gulping like the milk like it should be. I usually
Mm.
had an oversupply. And at that time, I didn't feel like she was super satiated. And I also had to go back to work 8 weeks after she was born. I think when I started getting back to work and pumping and this and that, it just still I wasn't producing a lot. So I actually had my niece got pregnant the same time as me, which is funny. But she's only 6 years younger than me, but she had a baby 1 week after I did. She had an oversupply. So she would give me her milk. So she pumped a lot of extra, and I was giving Zara extra of the milk, like giving her some bottles of my niece's breast milk. So that was a beautiful village experience of mothering that I'm really grateful for.
Yeah. Not only just having someone else, like, being pregnant together, you also got to have milk like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so she did that for me for several months, and then all of a sudden my milk supply just kicked in and I didn't need it anymore. I had
Oh,
plenty.
great.
It's like my body just adjusted right around 6 months or so, and now
Uh-huh.
we're still going.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's doing great. And she also started refusing the bottle, so there wasn't another choice. So it's boobs only. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your plan? Like, do you have any goals for breastfeeding for length or anything?
She's going to be 18 months here in a couple of weeks, and this is the longest I've ever breastfed any of my children. But I don't know. I don't really have a cap right now. Breastfeeding's easy and smooth. I would just say, just because she's so much older now, like the gymnastics that she does while she breastfeeds and climbing all over me. And I do get a little touched out at times. As much as I love
Yeah.
her and love the experience, she has to fiddle. So while she's on one breast, she fiddles with the other nipple. And I literally can't get her to stop because she'll get really mad. And I know that sounds ridiculous. Like, I'm the mom, I'm the boss, but no, she's the boss. I don't really have an end in sight. I thought maybe two, but I think it's going to be difficult to wean her at any point. When we were going through the blood pressure situation, there was a certain med that they were going to put me on that I would have had to stop breastfeeding, and that really made me sad. And
Yeah.
so they were able to switch me to a different kind of medicine.
Yeah.
We'll be going into toddlerhood breastfeeding probably, but
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Now, how do you balance work and breastfeeding? Do you need a pump during the day, or how does that work?
I don't pump at
No.
all anymore. That thing's just been put away. I never liked the pumping. I hate pumping. So
You
when
and me
she was
both.
younger, I know it's hard. It's just really hard. It doesn't feel as natural as when they're suckling, and
Yeah.
it hurts a bit. And I don't know. I don't even get as much milk as I do. So I pumped maybe when she was a newborn and I was working. I wanted to make sure to have some extra, and I also just need to do it because otherwise I would let down while I was at work and have boob soaked shirts. So I had to do it for my own comfort, and then also having a little stash that she eventually never would take because she wouldn't take the bottles. So usually she'd just wait and throw a protest until I got home and I gave her milk. And to this day, she still does. So but now she's on foods and everything. So no, I don't pump or anything anymore. She eats all her meals. She eats at the table with her brother. She eats everything we eat. She loves her snacks. She's a great little eater, but she loves to have her milk throughout the day, when I get home from work, before bed, during the night, first thing in the morning, after breakfast, before lunch, after lunch. It's crazy, but I have a good work schedule where I can make it work. Try to stretch things out a bit, and she can go a long period and have breakfast and lunch with daddy, and I'll try and get home before nap time. She usually doesn't even like to go to nap. She does contact naps. This girl's got us wrapped around her finger. She does not go down. We have to lay with her, and it's generally needs to be mom and the boobs.
Mentally, how were you this postpartum?
Honestly, I was doing so good the first year. I couldn't get over, like, I had her the day before Mother's Day last year, which was so special to be in the hospital on Mother's Day weekend
Yeah.
and just had my beautiful little baby girl. And I don't think I could have felt that amazing mentally. Like, my hormones were just through the roof. And all the newborn face, I felt incredible. And I kept telling everyone, probably the whole first year of her life, this is the first time I haven't had postpartum. I don't have postpartum. I don't have postpartum. Because I had postpartum depression after all my boys. And I think around her first birthday, things started to dip a little bit for me, and I didn't know why. And then actually, it's been even more in the last few months. I started noticing a big difference in my moods, my anxiety levels, everything. And there's a lot on my plate. Like, a lot of people are like, you've got 6 kids and you work and you have a baby and you're in your mid 40s. All true, but I also know my body enough to know when there's an actual chemical change in my moods. I think I had some delayed postpartum depression. So a couple months ago, in fact, we were supposed to film a couple months ago, and I texted you and said, Jamie, I'm not feeling good. I can't do this right now. But that was my little funk. I went through a funk and talked to my
Mhm.
doctor and adjusted some things and with my medication, and I feel
Uh-huh.
really good again. After even that first year, there is no timeline. Pregnancy, postpartum does a number on our bodies, and that postpartum and fourth trimester is not just the first 6 months or year. You need
Yeah.
to really listen to yourself and your body and your mind for a couple years.
Yeah. So you only took 8 weeks off from working?
Yeah. When I got pregnant with
Wow.
her, I had just accepted a new role, and I was really scared to tell my workplace that I was pregnant, but I also was not sure if it was going to make it. I
Uh,
was early pregnant. I'm like, I'm not going to give up this job. There's a good chance I'll miscarry again because I have the last two times. And then when I got into 13, 14, 15 weeks, my belly's growing and I can't hide it anymore behind a blazer. And my sixth pregnancy. So I was showing. I was like, I can't hide this anymore. So I had to tell my management. And I work for an incredible female centered company in women's healthcare imaging. And I was able to just break the news. And I'm like, all right, I get it. If you guys just don't want me here and you want to pick somebody else for this, I was opening a brand new market here in our state. And I'm like, listen, I've gotten pregnant. And so they were great with me and said, no, this is incredible. Take care of your baby, blah, blah. But that being said, I was only in my first 2 months of work. So I had no maternity leave. So I didn't have FMLA either. So I had to use just PTO and short term disability. And because of the blood pressure issues post birth, that also was able to get my short term disability extended a bit. So yeah, I had 8 weeks. She was 8 weeks old when I had to go back to work. But again, I have a job that is very flexible. It's not a clock in, clock out job. So I was able to adjust around having that newborn at home and not leaving her for maybe like more than 4 or 5 hours at a time. That's about all my
Uh-huh.
boobs could take when she was really tiny.
That's great to have that flexibility in a job like
Yeah,
that.
very.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention about your recovery or birth or breastfeeding?
No, I would just say for us, co sleeping's been incredible. I love it to death. It's difficult sometimes, but for the most part, I think you get so much more rest. And I think as long as you follow those safe sleep guidelines and just follow your intuition, I really think that this is something that in other cultures throughout the world and with mammals in general, we don't have to separate from our babies. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
fear around things like that. She sleeps best right next to me, skin to skin, and I absolutely love it. So I say do what's best for you. And breastfeeding's been incredible for us, but also however you feed your baby is best as well. But it's been a wonderful experience. I'm honestly absolutely loving motherhood at this part in my life. Yes, I'm older, I'm tired, but I think I was always tired raising my toddlers. It's exhausting being a mother. I feel
Uh,
great otherwise, though, because I'm so much more confident. I had so much more anxiety raising children in my 20s. So much more anxiety. I was worried about everything that they did. I was worried. I was a very anxious mom, and I'm just not with her. She'll be fine. Oh, she's okay. Just don't stress too much about a lot of things. And then also having a lot more of that financial stability and more just confidence in myself. It's been just a beautiful experience. I absolutely love it. I love chasing my little toddler. And yeah, I hate the naysayers. I don't care. Yeah, I'll be 50 when she's in kindergarten or whatever. Cool. Nice. I don't care. We're going to be great. We're going to grow old together. She's going to be my little pal. She might age me faster, but she'll probably keep me younger. And having this big age gap with my children has been a beautiful blessing. Absolutely love having these older children. Do they help? Yeah, they're somewhat helpful for in short spurts, but mostly they're doing their own thing. But they absolutely adore her. I love seeing those connections. So I think it's been a really great experience. And me and Bruce love to just giggle at our life right now and say, wow, we're just the OGs. Here we go. This is just a new adventure of a beautiful surprise that I could have never asked for anything better.
yeah. Do you have plans to have more babies in your 40s?
I said early on, now that she is such an age gap, I would like her to really have a sibling to grow up with. I'm the youngest of nine. I have a lot of siblings. I have lots of children that are very close in age. I want her to have that experience. But now that she's almost 18 months, I'm like thinking this might not be, I might be getting a little older. Now I'm 46. I'd be 47 when it's born, and that's a lot. If I asked other people's opinions, they all would say I was crazy, but I will say that I'm not preventing anything, but I also still haven't had a period. That's been crazy. So
Really?
I don't know if I'm going to go straight. I've always had postpartum periods show up about 1 year with my boys, with my babies, and it's nowhere to be found. So I am not sure if I'm like just going right from baby to menopause or if this is just because of the extended breastfeeding. Yeah, there's nothing being done to prevent, but at the same time, I don't know if that's even going to be in the cards for me or if this is I had my annual recently with my OB and they tested my hormone panel and everything looked fine. They said it just looks like you are a woman that's breastfeeding, like very low estrogen, things like that. It's hard to tell if the fertility factors necessarily there or whatnot, because all my
Uh,
panel looked like a woman who was deep in lactation.
what has been your biggest challenge being pregnant over 40?
Gosh, the biggest challenge is honestly people's perceptions. I've had a few times where a woman said, "Oh, is she your granddaughter?" And I'm like, "Are you
Excuse
serious?
me?
Come on
Yeah.
now." But not for the most part, they don't. When I'm with her and my oldest son and his girlfriend, they have been. Sometimes people think that she's their baby. And I'm like, oh, great. This is cool. I don't like that factor because I don't even feel my age. So it bugs me a little bit, but I'm like, okay, I guess I don't look like I'm 20 anymore. And that's fine. But just some of those misconceptions I would say about being pregnant over 40 when there's so much also beautiful stories and research and things that are backing up about how this is something, this whole fertility narrative has actually changed quite a bit.
Hmm.
We don't always necessarily take a big nosedive just based on a chronological number.
Yeah.
So it can
What
happen for sure.
what did your sons say whenever you became pregnant? Did they have any comments about it?
My oldest son had the hardest time with it. The other kids were like, "Oh wow, that's cool. We wanted you to have a baby. We love Bruce and this and that." My oldest was, "Are you kidding me, mom? Come on. I'm 21. You're gonna do this all over again." But he's the oldest, so he saw me carrying the weight of being a single mom to all of them for so many years that I think he just thought this might be really hard on me and just more of a burden than it was. But now they absolutely adore her and they're like, "Thank you for this gift. She's the best thing that's ever happened to us." And I'm like, "I agree." So I just think
That's cute.
sometimes the best things in life are the surprises and those twists and turns, those plot twists. My life
Yeah.
has been nothing but a series of plot twists. So I say in the low times, you just hang in there because literally there's always going to be a rainbow around the corner of some sort in some way. And you don't know exactly what that looks like, but you can get through it. So I've
Yeah.
been through some really hard things, but I really think that beautiful second chapters happen all the time. So you've just got to hang in there for those.
Yeah.
And third chapters.
That's right. Is there anything you recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth over 40?
I would say have a really good provider, have a good relationship with your provider, someone that understands you, someone that doesn't use terms that make you feel like an old mom. If somebody says geriatric pregnancy, I would walk out of that office and definitely not see that provider. My doctor made it seem like no big deal. We didn't even say advanced maternal age. I made more jokes about my age in that pregnancy than she would just laugh them off. She'd be like, "Oh, stop, you're doing great." I'd say, "Oh, is this because I'm old?" And she's, "You stop." Have someone that's really your cheerleader because it's hard enough. Pregnancy is hard any age. So I would say, yeah, taking care of your body, being fit and like eating healthy, all those things are great, but don't stress too much about it. Have a sandwich. Everything's going to be okay. Don't over stress about all the things you read and just go with a good provider that can help guide you along the way and a supportive partner. Make sure you have that as well because you need someone that can understand that you need lots of extra rest and lots of extra support for those emotional and physical ups and downs.
Yeah. What advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
Maybe try to be a little bit more active. So maybe pushing past that tiredness and being a little more active. I don't know how much it would have affected the weight gain, but man, it packed on pretty fast. So yeah, that was difficult. The GD diet is hard and I didn't always stick to it. Don't stress too much about anything, is what I say.
Yeah. Now, we have a lot of listeners who are trying to conceive over 40. What advice would you give to those women?
I would say you just never give up hope. Never give up hope. I really didn't think this was going to happen for me after having two miscarriages in my 40s. You never ever know. And fertility is just a tricky thing. But I say if it's something that you want, go for it. Absolutely listen to your heart, whatever methods you need to do, whatnot. Go for it. Never let anybody tell you you're too old. This is literally your life and you have control. You get to direct your own script.
That's perfect. Now, where can our listeners connect with you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram. I share a very unaesthetic view of my life as a mother and the chaos and everyday ins and outs of having children, and also just really helping to women that have felt like they've been in survival mode for a long time become thrivers. I've gone through a lot of death, a lot of grief. I've been through a lot of things in my life, and I really do believe that we can construct beautiful lives and beautiful stories even out of really dark narratives. I'm just at Ann Dash Marie. That's what it is because my name's Anne Marie with a dash, and you can't have a dash on Instagram. So it's literally ANNEDASHMARIE.
Anne Marie,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story.
Thank you, Jamie. It's been so fun to get to know you over the last couple of years. We were pregnant together, and being able to do
Yeah.
this with you has been really fun.